Hello everyone, welcome back to your 17th Python tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to talk about two very important tools when you're programming, randomness and time. So let's get started. In the last tutorial when I talked about modules, I kind of showed you the random module. So let's go ahead and import that now. And I'm gonna show you a few things that you can use from the random module. The first is random, which gives you a random float between 0 and 1. So if I do print random dot random, so we call in our module and then our function name, and then this function does not have any parameters, and we get that. So this is very useful if you're making a game and you want to base it off percentages, like if an attack will occur if something is 15% or higher. So it's very useful for games. And the next two things I'll show you, they're kind of similar to random and to themselves. So the next thing is randint, and it takes 3 arguments, but you can have 2. So if I have 0 and 10, this gives me all the numbers from 0 to 10 inclusive. And if we run that, it gives us 6. If you want to use this for making a random number program, or if you'd rather use that for making randomness, then you can if it makes more sense to you. However, the random function has a greater chance of randomness because it's more precise, being a float, whereas this you're only limited to integers. But you can make higher integers, but it makes more sense just to use a float. So randint, useful if you're not wanting something precise, or if you're making a random number program. Try to think of some other uses for it. It generates the level of something or as an integer, like if you do the random function and then a randint, and it can give you what level enchantment something is. Just getting game examples there. Random is mainly used in games. There's not much use for it anywhere else. So yeah. And then the final thing I'll show you is random range. I believe that's how it is. Rand range. I believe that's how it is. Yes, rand range. Okay, so this one, there's a lot of confusing names in this module. So in this one, it works more like the range function as opposed to the randint function. And what I mean by that is the second parameter is exclusive, meaning that this is actually 0 to 9. So if you're used to using lists, then you can go ahead and use rand range. If you feel more comfortable and that makes sense with randint, then you can go ahead and use that. And you can also use third argument, which is a step if you want only random, if you want only odd or even numbers. See it, only odd or an even number from that result. The final one involves lists, which I'll talk about in the next few videos, but I can go ahead and make one right now. And I'll explain this later on my video on lists, but this kind of ties into randomness, so I need this right now. So how to make a list is pretty basic. You just use brackets. That's all you need to know right now. And then what our data is, so cats, separated by comma, dogs, fish, and then what I want to show you is the choice function in the random module. So if I go random dot choice, and then as my parameter I do my list, because that is the data I'm using, or I could just use as a list directly. So what I mean by that is that I could use this list and I could input it there, and it would pretty much do the same thing, but it looks neater when I use a variable. So if I do that, it gives me a random choice between this list, so I'll either get cats, dogs, or fish. It gives me cats. If I run this again, it gives me cats again. If I run it again, I get cats again. And if I run it again, I'm getting really lucky with cats. I got dogs. So 3 cats in a row, 1 dog. That was pretty low chances, I have to say. So that's the random module. Useful if you want to make games or select something random. You can use your imagination for things you can use with that. But the next thing I want to talk about is the date time module that gives you the dates. And then after that, I will be talking about time, which is a little bit more advanced. So if I import date time, it's the name of the module, and I go ahead into print, or let me go ahead and set a variable, now equals datetime dot now with our parentheses. So this calls the datetime module, the datetime function, the datetime class, and then the method to that. For now, just think of this as a datetime function and a function inside it. So we call datetime, and then the function of that, and then the function of that with our parameters. And now we can do print now. We kind of clean that up a bit using that variable. And that gives you the current date and time. Right now it is February 9th, 2015, and it also gives me the time in military form, the 24-hour clock. Okay, so that's useful if you're using the software and you want to integrate a clock in there. There's all sorts of uses for that in software web development. If you're making a forum, then you might want to put the server date on there. If you're using that for Python for web development, there's all sorts of uses for that. So that is how you get the date and time. As always, if you want to learn more about the module, then you can go ahead and type in dir and then the module name once you import it, of course. And you can also look at documentation if you would like. So, moving on to time. This can get a little tricky and a little confusing for beginners. So, but I will not talk about some of the advanced stuff. I will try to keep this as simple as possible. So, I am going to make a time variable. I'm going to set that equal to time.time. And this does not do what you think it does, I promise. And I'm going to print that. And probably think it's going to give you the date and time. You're wrong. It gives me this big number, and you're thinking, why the heck is that useful, and why the heck is that there? Well, time.time is the number of seconds since the epoch of major programming languages, or otherwise known as 1970, or the Dark Ages. So that is the epoch, and you can do all sorts of things with this number. You can use it to pull the year, the date, using some tuples and stuff like that, and the math. But that's not the highlight of this video. And another cool thing about the time function is that it's always different. I'm gonna run it 3 times, and you'll see I'll get 3 different results. That's because the time changes. So that's one cool thing about it, the time function. So moving on to the clock, or no, not clock, sleep. This is useful for canceling a thread or an operation. So let me go ahead and make a for loop and make it in the range of 0 to 10, and I want to say 10 minus I, and we will decrement I equals 10 minus I. We could do subtraction operator. I minus equals 10, 1 from, stop being fancy, let's just set it equal to 10. I equals I minus 10, or 10 minus I. I'm sorry about that. And then we can go ahead and print I, and just ignore that part right there. That was, I don't even know what that was. So what we want to do now is do time dot clock. I always, oh my gosh, sleep. Let's set that to 1 second, and we're gonna run this. And what this program is it's a countdown program, and it counts down from 10 to 1. And by seconds, not by how fast the computer can operate it, but it's a time-based algorithm, or a time-based operation, or set of processes. And how this works is when we import the time function, and we iterate through the range of 0 to 10, what it does is starts at 0, and we set I equal to this. So 10 minus 0 is 10, and it prints 10. And what sleep does is it counts 1 second off. So once 1 second is over, it starts back over at the loop. So this is very useful if you want to have something occur after a certain time, if you're making a game or if you're making an application. So it's very useful if you want to make like a timer. If you want, you can go ahead and set that equal to 60. And change that as well, and then you can count down from a minute. You made your own program that can count down from 60, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. And you can also increase, let me go ahead and kill that. You can go ahead and increase this so the incrementation takes longer. So it can last 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. It gives me 59. Or we can make this increment faster by setting this to 0.1. And by using floats is recommended because you can get a faster time overall. See, like that? That's pretty neat. So if you want to make it super fast, I guess you can go like that. I guess it kind of can't really be faster than how fast a loop executes. It's pretty much limited to that speed. You can only go slower than that. So that is the time module, and randomness, time, date, all that, and one 15-minute long tutorial. I know this was long, but these are some very useful tools, and I hope you guys use them. They sure are helpful and pretty cool, and I'm glad Python has them. So I will see you guys in the next tutorial where we talk about lists or dictionaries. I haven't decided yet, so I'll see you guys next time. Bye.